UK did not close borders due to COVID for fear of being seen as racist. The former chief advisor to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Dominic Cummings, said the reason UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson never closed the country's borders at the beginning of the pandemic is he thought it might be looked at as racist. PM Johnson did not want the UK to be looked at as racist by closing down the country's borders. Cummings called this lack of border policy madness, saying travellers are still arriving in Britain from infected countries. Direct flights from many red list countries to the UK are banned but some are allowed. According to Cummings, at the time when the pandemic struck, there was a mindset that concluded it was basically racist to call for closing the borders and blaming China and the whole China New Year thing, adding, and that was basically nonsense. Cummings worked under the PM from July 24, 2019 through November 13, 2020. Prime Minister Johnson was worried that if border controls were implemented, it would ruin Britain's tourism industry. To this day, there is still no real border policy in place even with grave concern over COVID-19 variants such as the Indian one. Cummings called this lack of border policy madness, saying travellers are still arriving in Britain from infected countries. Instead, the UK government has instituted a traffic light system which categorises the safety of countries as either red, amber, or green. There are more than 40 countries on the government's red list, which has the strictest travel restrictions. One of these countries is India, where a new mutation of coronavirus first identified in the country has spread to the UK. This has been linked to international travel and has been classified as a variant of concern. In the UK alone, more than 3,400 cases of it have been reported. Despite this and the discovery in the UK of other variants identified abroad, the government has never banned international travel altogether. Red list countries, which include India, Pakistan, Brazil, and South Africa, are those the UK government says are at the highest risk from COVID and should not be visited, except in the most extreme of circumstances. Travellers that have been to a red country can only enter the UK if they are a UK or Irish national or a UK resident. Additionally, the traveller must test negative for COVID-19 before departure and self-isolate for 10 days in a government-approved quarantine hotel. Direct flights from many red list countries to the UK are banned but some are allowed. These include flights from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Kenya. The government says this is to avoid potential disruption to critical freight and British nationals seeking to return home. Cummings stated that it was obvious they should have shut the borders down in March of 2020 and lacking that, again in January of this year. He explained that many on the PM's staff suggested to simply download documents that Singapore or Taiwan were using and translate them into English so they could use them in Britain. UK Home Secretary Priti Patel recently expressed remorse for the failure to close borders in March 2020. At that time, only 51% of Brits were in favour of shutting down borders as well. But today, 84% are in support of closed borders. In just a matter of a month, the UK implementing hard borders has become one of the country's most popular policy positions. In Prime Minister Johnson's defence, the PM's official spokesman said, "We have some of the toughest border measures in the world, and we have taken action whenever necessary to keep the public safe." But still, the Prime Minister and Home Secretary now have very serious questions to answer about the dire failings they have overseen and must urgently get a grip of the dangerous border chaos they have created, stated UK Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas Simmons. Rebuilding travel.